You forget passwords, names, and why you walked into a room. Yet one awkward sentence from 3 years ago can return at 2 in the morning with perfect timing. One unanswered message, one mistake, one person you barely knew. One moment you would delete forever if your brain had a delete button. So why does your mind lose useful information, but protect the thoughts you most want to forget? The answer is not that your brain is broken. It is that forgetting is not a simple failure of memory. It is an active job, and some thoughts keep convincing your brain that the job is not finished. First, we need to separate 4 things that often feel the same. A memory is a reconstruction of something that happened. A worry is a simulation of what might happen. Rumination is repeated thinking about distress, usually without moving toward a solution. And an intrusive thought is an unwanted idea, image, urge, or memory that enters awareness without permission. They are not identical, but they can all become sticky for similar reasons. Your brain is not a camera that records every second and stores it in perfect order. Memory is selective because it has to be. Every day, your nervous system receives far more information than you could consciously keep. Most details must fade, become difficult to retrieve, or lose the competition for your attention. Scientists once treated forgetting mainly as decay, as if memories simply wore away with time. We now know that the brain also uses active forgetting. Networks involving the prefrontal cortex can reduce the retrieval of information that is no longer useful. At the cellular level, researchers have found several mechanisms that can weaken or mask memory traces. Forgetting, in other words, is part of a healthy memory system. It helps you update, adapt, and move forward. But your brain does not treat every experience equally. Imagine that memory is a crowded office. The hippocampus helps bind the people, places, and details of an event. The amygdala helps signal emotional importance. When something is emotionally arousing, communication across these systems can make the event more likely to last. That does not mean the memory becomes a perfect recording. Emotion often increases how vivid and certain a memory feels more than it increases its accuracy. This is why you may forget the exact words someone used, but clearly remember the heat in your face. You may forget what happened before an argument, but remember the expression in the other person's eyes. Your brain can preserve the emotional headline while losing parts of the article. From a survival point of view, that bias makes sense. A boring Tuesday usually offers little guidance. A moment linked to threat, rejection, reward, shame, or loss may contain information your brain believes could matter again. The system is not asking, "Would you enjoy remembering this?" It is asking, "Could this help me predict what happens next?" That is the first reason certain thoughts refuse to leave: emotional salience. The second is the power of a cue. A memory can feel as if it appeared from nowhere, but retrieval is often triggered. A smell, a song, a place, a notification sound, a time of night, or even a body sensation can reactivate part of an old pattern. You do not need to consciously recognize the cue. Your stomach tightens. A face enters your mind. Then the story begins. Now you think the memory returned because it must be important, but sometimes it returned because the present happened to resemble the past. This creates a dangerous misunderstanding. The frequency of a thought can feel like proof of its meaning. It is not. A thought can be frequent because it has many cues, because it is emotionally charged, or because you have practiced returning to it. Repetition tells you that a pathway is easy to enter. It does not tell you that the thought is accurate, urgent, or secretly desired. The third reason is an open goal. Your brain does not only remember the past, it also keeps track of what remains unfinished. In a series of experiments, people with an unfulfilled goal experienced more goal-related thoughts while trying to do something else. But when they made a specific, credible plan for when and how they would continue, that mental interference was reduced. Notice what changed. The goal was not completed. The brain simply received evidence that the goal had a destination. This helps explain why one unfinished email can occupy more space than 20 completed tasks. It may also help explain why an unclear relationship can be harder to release than a clear rejection. Uncertainty gives the mind no clean ending, so it keeps searching for one. What did they mean? What should I have said? What if I had acted differently? Each question feels like an attempt to solve the problem. But if no new information is available, the mind is not solving, it is circling. That is rumination. Not all repeated thought is harmful. Reflection can help you learn, plan, and recover. The difference is often the form it takes. Unproductive rumination is usually abstract. It asks, why am I like this? Why does this always happen? Or, what does this say about me? Those questions are large, emotional, and almost impossible to finish. Constructive reflection becomes concrete. It asks, what exactly happened? What part can I influence? And what is one action I can take next? The abstract question keeps the courtroom open. The concrete question gives the brain a task. Now we reach the famous paradox, trying not to think about something. In a classic experiment, participants were told not to think about a white bear. If the bear appeared, they rang a bell. They could reduce the thought, but they could not remove it completely. And when suppression ended, the bear appeared more often for some participants. Why might that happen? To check that you are not thinking about a white bear, part of the mind must keep searching for signs of a white bear. The guard at the door needs a picture of the person it is supposed to stop. But the popular version of this story is too simple. Suppression does not always backfire. Newer reviews argue that healthy people can sometimes suppress thoughts or memories successfully, especially when cognitive control is available and the strategy is clear. The real trap is desperate monitoring. Is it gone? Am I thinking about it again? Why can't I stop? Every check puts the target back on the screen. The original white bear research contained another useful clue. Giving people one specific replacement thought reduced later preoccupation. Think of anything else is vague. Focus on this particular image, task, or sensation gives attention somewhere to land. Your brain cannot hold an instruction called nothing. It works better with a destination. And this is where sleep becomes important. Controlling an unwanted memory requires coordination. The right dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is part of a control system that can reduce retrieval activity in the hippocampus. In a study published in 2025, sleep-deprived adults were less able to engage this control system while trying to suppress unwanted memories. The memories kept intruding across repeated attempts. Among participants who slept, more time in REM sleep was associated with stronger engagement of prefrontal memory control the next day. This does not mean one bad night permanently locks a thought into your brain. It means the mental gatekeeper can become less effective when it is exhausted. That is why the same problem can feel manageable in the afternoon and enormous after midnight. The room is quiet, external distractions are gone, your control system is tired, and the thought has the stage to itself. But there is one more twist. The memory that returns is not necessarily the original event. Remembering is reconstructive. Each time you recall a moment, your brain rebuilds it from stored details, current beliefs, and the meaning you now give it. A vivid memory can contain missing, shifted, or inferred details. Confidence is not a perfect measure of accuracy. So when your mind replays an embarrassing scene, you may not be watching untouched footage. You may be watching a reconstruction edited by years of self-judgment. The emotion is real. The lesson you attach to it may not be. Maybe the event was, I said something awkward. But the repeated story became, everyone saw who I really am. That second sentence is not a memory. It is an interpretation. And interpretations can change. So what can you actually do when a thought will not leave? Do not begin by demanding deletion. The demand itself turns the thought into an emergency. First, identify the type of mental event. Say, this is a memory. This is a worry. This is an unfinished goal. Or, this is an intrusive thought. Naming the category creates a small distance between you and the content. A thought appearing in your mind is not the same as choosing it, believing it, or intending to act on it. Second, look for the cue. What happened just before the thought returned? Was it a place, a song, a notification, fatigue, loneliness, or a body sensation? The question is not, why am I broken? It is, what opened this file? Third, convert the loop into something concrete. If there is a real unfinished task, write one specific next action and when you will do it. Not fix my life. At 10 tomorrow morning, I will send the first email. If there is no action available, write the conclusion your brain keeps refusing to accept. I do not have enough information to solve this tonight. That is not surrender. It is a boundary. Fourth, give attention a destination. Choose one neutral task detailed enough to occupy the same mental workspace. Describe 5 things you can see. Read 1 page aloud. Count your breaths. Organize a small physical space, or return to one planned activity. The goal is not to prove that the thought is gone. Do the task without checking. Fifth, protect the gatekeeper. Sleep is not a magic eraser, but it supports the control systems that regulate memory and emotion. If the same thought arrives every night, the answer may not be another hour of analysis. Sometimes, the most intelligent response is to stop the trial and let the brain recover. And finally, know when this is bigger than a self-help technique. Unwanted thoughts are common, but if they become uncontrollable, consume large amounts of time, cause major distress, trigger compulsive behavior, or interfere with daily life, speak with a qualified mental health professional. Conditions such as OCD and PTSD are not failures of willpower, and effective treatments are available. Your brain does not keep certain thoughts because they are always true. It keeps them because they are emotional, well-cued, unfinished, repeatedly visited, or difficult to control when you are depleted. The goal is not to erase your past. It is to teach your brain that this memory is no longer an alarm, this question no longer needs another trial, and this thought no longer deserves the entire room. You may not choose which thought knocks on the door, but with time, practice, rest, and the right kind of help, you can change how long you let it stay. And the next time your mind replays the one thing you wish it would delete, remember this. Its return is not proof that it matters now. Sometimes it is only proof that your brain still predicts it might.